A Michigan teen has undergone a new therapy for video game addiction called Unplugged. The teen, who had been gaming upwards of 12 hours a day every single day, was sent along with counselors, therapists, and other kids with similar problems out into the wilderness. There, he learned survival skills, coping mechanisms, and got a chance to examine his gaming habits. After 10 weeks, he returned home safely, and according to people, much different, much improved. I don't know.
Wow.
His Overwatch game was just out of the park now.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm sure his gaming probably fell off.
Is this not 2017?
It is 2017.
Like people are still worried about video game addictions with their kids.
I mean, it's still a thing.
Yeah, I mean, this guy had been gaming 12 hours a day and was dropping out of high school.
But this is how you deal with it?
Yeah, that's a weird way to deal with it.
For how long?
No, this is how there is. Okay, so this really, first of all, this really pisses me off. This really makes me angry because there was a rash of these programs in the early 2000s that a lot of my friends ended up getting caught up in and sent to. Now, it was never for things like video games. I think Isaac ended up going, shouldn't be using their real names, but fuck it, I'm going to.
Isaac, you just say they're a fake name and then no one will know.
You could still even do the joke.
Isaac ended up going because his parents found cigarettes in his room.
That seems like an overreaction.
Right? Andrew, yeah, it really was, because he wasn't a bad. Like, the thing is that a lot of these kids weren't really bad kids, so they didn't want to get him in trouble to the point where they were like sending him to juvie or like getting him in trouble with the law. So they saw these kinds of programs to like sort of like straighten him up and send him to like it's a little bit like a boot camp sort of thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this like the 2000s version of threatening to send your kid to military camp in the 90s?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
It's a little bit like that, yeah. And let's see, Andrew ended up going for a variety of shit, but it was mostly that he spray painted his parents' basement. Like he was really talented at graffiti. Like, legitimately, he had a lot of talent at it, and he decided to practice on the walls in the basement while his parents were on vacation.
Were these walls like treated or anything, or they were just like concrete?
No, not concrete. They were like
drywall.
Drywall, yeah.
Who cares? You can just paint over that.
Well, that's what he was going to do, but his parents came home early and like flipped the fuck out.
Wow.
Ended up and Utah is the place that they end up sending these kids.
Utah is the place where dreams go to die.
And they send them and put them out in the middle of the wilderness and basically abuse these kids for 10 days. Like, you sign away essentially any kind of autonomy that you have, and you're being monitored, or in some cases they really were like just kind of thrown into the middle of the woods, and therapists and other folks would kind of just watch them from a quote unquote safe distance, but they would do things like let these kids start to get like get close to like exposure, you know what I mean? Like, right. They would if they didn't do what they said, they would take away necessary camping utilities and stuff like that. Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay,
what?
see now, all right.
Yeah. It was, I mean...
To a certain point, sending your kid to quote-unquote camp or whatever is one thing. But once you're actually out there and taking away necessities, that's messed up.
Eat it, dick. Like, it, one of the things I remember, like, they told Andrew to do something, and he wouldn't, and they took away his ability to cook food, his sterno. Right? So he had no way, like, he had to figure out either how to build a fire or he was going to be really fucking hungry.
What did he do?
I don't remember.
Oh, I hope he built the fire.
I honestly don't remember. But
we never heard from him again.
No, I saw him not that long ago, a couple of years ago at a music festival. But
this all sounds like if Ron Swanson were to join the dark side.
But it just seems like first of all, when parents of kids that I knew would react like this, it was in every sense an overreaction. You know what I mean? Like, these were not like these were not kids who were misbehaving, but their parents thought they were. Like their parents couldn't control their either rebellious streak or their artistic streak, and they weren't fitting into the box that their parents were kind of building for them.
They weren't that perfect kid that you could show off to your neighbors at the community barbecue.
Right, and yeah, exactly. Because they were fucking punk and goth kids and wanted to be musicians and didn't want to fucking get straight A's and they were operating. They were and believe me, because I was one of their peers, I could see every ounce of talent that they had and every ounce of potential that they had. Right, like I was able to see what they were doing that was brilliant and ahead of its time, that their parents looked at like, this is a waste of fucking time. I mean, how often do we talk about this shit?
Yeah.
How often do we talk about how like our parents would end up projecting on us like how much time we were spending with video games and whether they approved of that or not? And that was a source of conflict when I was growing up. And this was just a different. It's kind of a different form of that, where these kids were both of them are musicians. They're still musicians to this day, and that's what they were primarily doing, is they were exploring their artistic and their musical side, and to be kind of be punished for that, to directly be punished for that, I think is hugely detrimental to an individual or a child's growth.
Well, even the type of punishment based on what the two of them did, like, all right, the cigarette thing, like, I mean, I guess that's one thing. But if he actually had the plan to paint over the graffiti, or the fact that you could just paint over the graffiti.
Yeah, he could have fixed the fucking problem.
In any other normal situation, right, the parents punish you by saying, all right, well, guess what? Now you get to paint over that shit.
Yeah. And go buy the paint yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Or something like that.
Okay, hold on. What if the graffiti he was doing, it just didn't look good? He didn't have any talent.
Yeah, what if
I would send him away
graffiti
after that.
And it had swastikas.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Wow.
No, but first of all, it didn't.
I'm going to say, was Andrew a Nazi?
No.
He wasn't a Nazi. No. Good.
Well, that's good.
And the second thing is so I kind of wanted to establish why I think programs like this are fucking horseshit.
Oh, absolutely.
And don't work. And they really don't work. Really, all they do is they scare the kid into submission. That's really all you're doing, is you're going, well, do you really want to go through that whole ordeal again? No, mom and dad, I don't. And then they just
live in fear the rest of their lives.
Yeah, exactly.
So it worked
until the kid gets a little bit of autonomy, and then they go right back to where the fuck they were, like doing what the fuck they wanted to do.
Up until then, though, where they spend most of their time? Tumblr. And is that what you want, parents?
But here's the thing, is that, okay, so this kid was spending too much time playing video games. Like,
why didn't they just ground him off the video games or take the video games away?
Well, did anyone figure out, like, what kind of talent he was working with? He may have been developing a very serious, marketable skill.
That's very possible, too. He might have been the next Overwatch pro.
That's what I'm saying. Like, as weird as it is to say that, like, you've got to, like...
Also, taking the games away when you're trying to change a game addiction just kind of makes them want it more.
I think you're right.
That's not the best idea.
I think you're right.
Okay, but it is a little bit better of an idea than sending them to woodland training camp where they take away your necessities.
Like, okay, look, if it's one of these...
but also you need to know your kid. What if your kid literally has no survival skills?
But these people obviously didn't. They didn't. I think that's the problem. These parents, they don't have the capable skills to actually parent. That's why when something small happens, they immediately send them away. That's not parenting.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that.
I think that's the frustrating part.
Yeah. This tells you so much more about the parents themselves.
Right.
This isn't going to be like an isolated incident where, just in this one case, these parents are normally very good and very nurturing, but they just had a bad idea once.
That's the thing, is I refuse to fucking believe that.
I mean,
Yeah.
but what? I mean, it's possible that they've tried other punishments. Like, this is probably not the first thing that they've tried. Like, they probably tried taking it away. They tried requiring them to do other things as well as video games.
You know what they
probably
probably
all of it,
didn't
and then
do,
they're probably
though?
like, you know what? This is the last straw. We're sending you away.
Maybe they should try talking to their kid and listening to their
Okay.
child.
I'm willing to bet they tried that too. Are you kidding me?
I don't know.
Listening,
I
no.
don't know. I don't
No.
know.
Are you
Like,
kidding me? How
'cause-
many times did my parents tell me, okay, you can keep playing your video games as long as you go outside
Okay.
for this many times a day?
Every-
I don't fucking
every
listen to
kid-
that. Are you kidding me?
every kid that I knew that ended up getting sent to one of these programs, the bigger problem was the relationship of the parent to the child. That was the bigger problem. And that was not being addressed, by the way, by sending your kid 4 fucking states away into the middle of the wilderness. You're not, like, I think, especially especially to speak to the 2 anecdotal examples that I've brought up here, is, later on, after an event like this, they went to eventually they went to family therapy, because that was one of the things that these kids intrinsically knew. Like, my ability to communicate with you has broken down, and we need to repair that. And the shocking thing is that in both instances, for both Andrew and Isaac, that maturity had to come from the child. And these were very, very smart parents, by the way. Andrew's parents were, one was a clinical psychologist and the other one was a doctor. Okay, you would think that they would have a little bit more of presence of mind to go, well, what am I doing in this situation that is really exacerbating or preventing me from getting what I think my child needs in this situation, and from reaching a point of understanding. And in all the situations, because there were about 5 people that I know that went through fucking wilderness training, is that in nearly all of them, there was an underlying problem that was just not, it had less to do with that kid and more to do with the ability of the kid and the parent to communicate one to another. And it's really sad to me, because I mean, yeah, you can sit here and say, maybe they did try this, maybe they did try that. You don't know. This could have just been frustrated parents throwing up their hands and going, well, we don't know what the fuck to do with them, you fix them. And to me, that's lazy parenting.
But it is also easier.
I mean, is it? And
the parent,
But
yeah.
if the thing is, if it doesn't work, then what?
You try again. Keep doing it until it works.
8 more weeks. Go.
and
But
that's
then I feel like if this works, then great. But if it doesn't, you could easily strain your relationship more with your child.
And that's the thing, is that it only works for compliance. It really only drives.
Compliance will be rewarded.
It only drives home that you need to comply to be able to, to be able to navigate this situation.
Yeah, or the punishments could get worse and more unusual.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's what it is that it's like a shock to the system, because one of the things that they don't tell you is that the people who run this program, they come get you at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, they come in your room, they with flashlights, and they go, you're coming with us.
Time to go.
Yeah, and hey, let me get my stuff. You don't need stuff. You're like woken up in the middle of the night. You have no idea what's going on. Like Andrew was like, I didn't know if I was being kidnapped, but then I saw my parents, and then I was really confused because it felt like my parents were allowing for me to get
imagine
kidnapped.
I'm not being
level-
kidnapped. I'm being sold.
Imagine the level of betrayal.
Wait, so they wouldn't
that
have
you
even
would
told
feel.
them, hey, we're going to put you in this program. They just like,
Yeah, no.
Yeah, in case you try
Wow.
to take off or
Exactly.
avoid going.
Yeah, for fear that you.
they would run away or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm glad I took all those
It's
child
messed
grabbing
up.
classes.
These
That is kind of messy.
And these programs, from everything that I've heard from them, are designed to make you comply, or you are abused, or you're made to think they can abuse you. Like they make you think that they have complete and utter control and domination over you and your situation. And it's just like you said, Robbie. You comply for fear of the punishments getting more severe and more bizarre.
Yeah. And then you turn to one of those cases where it's just like, you read online all the time, I just want to be 18 so I can GTFO.
And Andrew, he was lucky enough to be given a tent. He said that, at night, he thought that the counselors would fuck with him, like come and shake his tent and like,
Oh, jeez.
you know, like prevent him from sleeping. And it's designed to push you as a human being. And I mean, you know what? If you're willingly signing up for something like that, fine.
That's one thing.
Fine. If you know what you're getting into, fine. I have no problem with that. But forcing a kid to go on something like that just because you disagree with what they're doing right now, I mean, again, like the supreme fucking irony of what I do right now in my career versus what my parents thought was good for my development growing up. Because there were two things that my parents tried to not curb my interest in, but make sure that I had a healthy relationship with, and that was video games and hip-hop music. And what are the two things that I make my fucking living off of doing right now? Video games and hip-hop music. It's supremely ironic that, you know, the things that sometimes you're steered away from as a kid are the things that you end up making your entire career off of. You don't know. This kid could have been the next Hideo Kojima.
Kid's no dick.
He could have been breaking down games on a level that his parents don't understand, that frankly we don't understand. You know what I mean? Like, if you have that much of an investment in it, yeah, I can see how some people would think, oh, well, it could ruin your life and you're not going to be able to get anything out of it. But I think unequivocally, sites like Twitch, communities like Twitch, shows like this, the opportunities that people have gotten because of video gaming, it's a huge industry with a million possibilities, and walling somebody's opportunities off like that, I think, is hugely detrimental. And then basically subjecting them to abuse on the other side of that is, and of course this kid has changed. Of course this kid is fucking different, coming back on the heels of a wilderness survival training expedition like this. Like, of course he's going to be different. Yeah, you drilled the fear into him.
Yeah.
Good job. Oh.
Yeah, we're not happy about that.
Sorry.
Okay. GameStop has announced the return of the game